Welcome to Community Forum. My name is John Galitino, and I'm your host. This evening I have with me Bob Godfrey. He's the state representative in the 110th District, and he's also a deputy speaker in Hartford. He's here to talk about some of the issues of the past and also talk about what's coming up, the upcoming campaign. So I want to welcome you to the show, Bob.
John, thank you so much.
Nice to see you again.
I'm your old guest.
one of my original ones.
Yeah.
I won't say how many years ago that was.
No, let's not admit to our increasing age.
But there are people that are coming constantly. You know, there's people going also, but there's people constantly coming in town that don't know you as well as I do. So if you can talk a little bit about yourself as to how you got to your present position, a little bit about your school, and you know, so forth, and how you got up to that.
Yeah, I was born here in Danbury, 1948. My parents, Doug Godfrey, worked for the railroad. My mother, Rita Godfrey, first person to actually finish high school and go on in my family. She was a registered nurse. She went to the old Danbury Hospital Nursing School. And I went to St. Peter's School in Danbury. Went to Immaculate High School, first graduating class there in 1966. Went on to Fordham University, where I got a BA in English, which of course isn't worth anything anytime.
It helps you with your writing.
Yeah, I read a lot. It helps me read bills.
Okay.
I came back home, and I joined the Navy. I was in the Navy for 7 years. I did a year on reserve, 2 years on active duty, and then 4 years in reserves again. I joined the Navy to see the world, so of course the brass sent me to Newport, Rhode Island for my 2-year tour of duty. Go figure. It was a nice place to be, but it was a lot of hard work. I was on a rotating shift, and they kept us busy 24/7 pretty much. When I got out of the Navy, I came back to my hometown of Danbury, and was prompted by my mother in particular, a friend of hers, Betty Crutchington. I was running for city council for the first time, and I got involved in politics, and here I am, all these years later, having spent now 22 years in the Connecticut House of Representatives, including the last 6 as the deputy speaker. Before that, I had other positions. I serve on the Judiciary Committee. I'm a lawyer by trade. I did go back to law school as my kind of midlife career change. And I also serve on the Planning and Development Committee, which deals with municipal issues, and I serve on Legislative Management, which is just housekeeping kind of thing. And I have a lot of fun. I still, after all these years, wake up in the morning eager to go to work. I love my job.
You love reading bills.
Oh, and reading anything.
And bills could be 100 pages long.
Yes, they can be. I'm certainly a policy wonk in many levels, but I'm also like a process wonk in making sure that plain English is plain English, and have advised a series of speakers.
Why do you need these 20 pages in the middle here? You know, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing does. It happens more often than you'd think.
Sometimes
so we try and keep it clean.
Sometimes they hide things on the 21st
well, I've been known to do that a couple of times myself. Right. We all do that.
Yeah, on the 21st
anything
page.
For our constituencies.
Right. Well, I guess you've had quite a year, and where do we start? Well, we have the Great Recession going on.
Yep.
And nothing stays the same. Just when you think you got a solution taken care of, what do you have? Another slowing down of the economy. The economy slows down. That means your budget's out because your sales tax go off, your income tax figures go off. You know, people aren't making sales. They're not paying income tax. They're not paying sales tax. The whole thing gets thrown out. You know, sometimes you listen to people out in the media. They make it sound like you're deliberately running a thing amok. You know, as opposed to the economy having a part of it.
Yeah, but right. Even Jody Rell said, this isn't our fault. Wall Street went south.
Right.
And when Wall Street sneezes, Connecticut catches a cold. In this case, pneumonia. Because we do rely very heavily, or we did rely very heavily, on all that money that was being made on Wall Street by people who live in Connecticut and pay Connecticut state income taxes,
capital
gains
tax
especially, and capital gains has long been we tax as regular income. There's not a separate capital gains tax. It's one of the things we did away with when we went to the income tax system back in the early 90s. But it just boom, almost overnight, in the fall of 2008. our revenues decreased by 27%. Huge numbers. And like Governor Rell, and I have to agree with him, it wasn't our fault. We didn't create the bubble. We didn't create the euphoria. We didn't create the banking meltdown that turned into an across-the-board economic meltdown, not only in this country, but across the world. And every state has been facing the same set of problems. I am the chairman-elect of the Council of State Governments, which is exactly what it sounds like. So I regularly am hearing and in contact with people from all the 50 states, all the territories, and actually all the Canadian provinces also. And actually, with the exception of North Dakota.
North Dakota?
Yeah. Every state, they discovered oil.
Okay, so they're all set.
They were all set. Every state has had to wrestle with the big issues of the revenue losses and how to balance it. You've seen total meltdown in like New York and California. That I'm so glad, I'm so glad we weren't that, didn't have to have, didn't have to have the huge issues that were coming there. But we still had to deal with this over the last 2 years, and the budget obviously is the kind of the first line in having to deal with this, because as the economy went south, demand for services goes up, unemployment compensation, people who lose their jobs want to go back to school, they like to go to community colleges, they go to a state university like Western here in Connecticut.
Then there's the stress fractures that happen in humankind.
Yeah.
There's a psychological.
Right.
People are utilizing the services. They don't have their 18 months run out. They've got to go and get alternative
You've got
coverages.
people going on, gun shooting rampages like you saw in Manchester.
Right.
Guy lost his job for cause. He was a thief.
Right.
But
people suffer.
Families are stressed. Kids are stressed. People who are already, marginally working class get pushed down into poverty. People who are in the working middle class get pushed down into the lower. So and at the same time, kind of Keynesian in my economic outlook, we know that by pumping money into the economy, governments can be a huge factor in turning an economy around. And the kind of thing we did, FDR showed us this back in the 30s, is like build stuff.
Right.
And what stuff needs to be built in Connecticut and in this country: highways, railroads, schools, colleges, buildings that we need to make the investment in. So here we're faced with this huge loss of revenue. We're looking 2 years ago at an $8.5 billion deficit over the 2-year period. So what do? Well, we did 4 things. We cut billions. We reduced government spending. We let people retire early. We chopped agencies. We did a furlough. We chopped agencies right and left. That was probably the biggest chunk of dealing that. We did raise some taxes, including a bit of a tax on millionaires 2 years ago that helped kind of stabilize things. We borrowed. I thought we over-borrowed, in my humble opinion, but those have always been the 3 legs of getting out of recession on the state level. And happily for us and for Connecticut's taxpayers and people who need state services, this time we had the stimulus package coming out of Washington. So instead of having a 3-legged stool, we had a 4-legged chair. And that made things much better. And I see some of the so-called ARA, American Recovery Act, going on here in the Danbury area. We're doing roads, we're doing the rail line. I mean, we're sitting here at Comcast Studios. The rail line that runs right outside the door here is going to be upgraded so we can move traffic.
There's like $1.5 billion from the federal stimulus. That also included a bridge over on the west side by the post office.
Right, which is still under construction as we speak.
That takes a while.
This will be open in October, last I heard.
Yeah.
Still on track, hopefully under budget. We always like that kind of thing.
But things you need, you need to have that bridge done, so. So we might as well do it now and hire, especially construction
was one of the sectors of the economy that really got clobbered the hardest. The whole collapse, the housing bubble collapse, just really hurt carpenters and electricians and plumbers and people who do cement work and masons, all that kind of thing.
They went from being busy to doing nothing.
To doing nothing and being on unemployment.
And that's got to have an impact.
And losing their health insurance, and therefore winding up in the emergency room in Danbury Hospital, which becomes the clinic rather than the emergency room. So we have to deal with all these, and we did. We did. We really took the bull by the horns, and we went after each one of these things. We were successful in keeping the budget balanced. We had to do some updating of the budget in this year, in 2010. We did that with no tax increases. We did that without slashing a lot of the kinds of things that people need. And my Republican colleagues, I was so disappointed. Their answer is always, of course, no new taxes, especially for rich people. My constituents don't agree with that. They're, I do a survey every year, John, and
well,
year,
they might all leave the state,
Yeah.
I've heard that said.
I think not. And over 75% of my constituents said yes, increase the make the income tax more progressive, have a higher rate for the richest of the rich. And we're still talking about a single-digit rate here in the state of Connecticut, where they're paying 30, 40, 50 sometimes percent for federal or in other places. And my own personal favorite, I would just like to tax the heck out of the bonus babies. The people who are getting millions of dollars in bonuses from banks and Wall Street firms for having wrecked the economy. That just gets me viscerally angry.
Yeah, what got me angry was that none of them, they decided not to prosecute any of them.
No.
These people took down the economy with what was laid out for them,
right.
And collectively, nobody goes to jail.
Yeah. We could probably do a whole show on just that.
Yes, exactly.
Just whining, I could go on.
We'll mention in that word that.
Yeah. So we've had to look at these solutions to the particular problems, and projecting ahead for the next few years, we're going to be having to look at similar kinds of things. Again, the economy has begun to turn around. It has begun to turn around in Connecticut. Unemployment is dropping. Employment is up. Not a lot, not enough to make me happy. We did enact some laws this year to try and begin to stimulate job creation. Now, in the state of Connecticut, there are over 80,000 businesses that have less than 50 employees. That's really small business. And we know, just watching the statistics, I get statistics, that's one of the things I read all over the place, all of the abstracts for labor markets and that kind of thing, that job creation isn't in the big corporations. It's not in the massive, it's not United Technologies, it's not any of the big...
Well, they're shipping their jobs overseas. They're in China and India.
We could do a half an hour on that, too.
Yeah.
But it's in small businesses. So we look at that fact, and we say, okay, then what we need to do is we need to provide tax credits that will create incentives for small businesses to expand, to innovate. Banks, unfortunately, have gotten their fingers burned by the housing bubble and the Wall Street collapse, are sitting on huge amounts of cash, and they're not lending it to qualified businesses. We need to create a revolving loan fund that will provide the capital. We've done a
working cash,
operational cash, the kind you need to make payroll while you're taking care of your customers, but before your customer has ordered, or you've produced the order, or you've shipped it out and gotten the payment.
Yeah, the payment takes sometimes 90 days or more, and these businesses are experiencing all kinds of problems getting working cash.
And they're sound businesses. They're providing great products. We're not only selling in the state and out of the state. We're selling overseas. Huge amounts of exports to Canada, our biggest trading partner. which is why I'm glad I talk to the Canadian provincial legislators every once in a while, the parliamentarians, to just get a feel for all of that that's going on. So the tools, we're trying to provide the tools, we're trying to provide the incentives, we're trying to create an atmosphere of optimism. I'm an eternal optimist, but I understand other people are
Eternal pessimist.
not. Are eternal pessimists. That's
Yeah.
Glasses are half something or other.
Yeah, half full or half empty.
And we need to take the lead and provide these solutions. These are real solutions to the problem. And going forward, there's a lot of other things we need to continue to look for, and they'll be the kind of things I'll be championing that will, again, support small business creation, that will reward innovation, that won't tax and punish machinery, the means you have to create whatever it is you're creating. And certainly I want to see more in manufacturing than we have. Those are the real jobs. No one's going to get rich and no one's going to sustain an economy by doing each other's laundry. It just isn't going to work.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to getting construction jobs, getting manufacturing jobs.
Saving those last machine shops that are here.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, I'm actually working on with a very small business here in my district, just a couple of blocks away from us. I won't embarrass them by naming them, but they're having trouble with their electricity costs. I actually have supported legislation that would have reduced energy costs this year, and unfortunately Governor Rell, for reasons beyond my understanding, vetoed it. We're going to have to come back with that again next year. With getting the capital to upgrade their machinery, to upgrade the building that they're in, but they're a multinational company with this very small business here in Danbury that's ready to double its workforce from 15 to 30. I count that as
that's a significant amount. Yeah.
That's a significant amount, and it's a commitment to the kind of jobs we need to see. They're good paying, they're union jobs, and I'm very hopeful that working with the Department of Economic and Community Development, that we can help them turn around and get those highly skilled, highly paid workers in there. It's the kind of thing we're going to need to do, obviously one-on-one, but across the board.
But this country would be so much better. You know, we have a lot of noise out there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of noise. But we don't deal with issues like, if we become more green, then we're not paying Saudi Arabia all this energy cost.
Right.
You know, if we save 10-20% on our energy costs, maybe get our own gas out of the ground and just consume less.
And find other ways.
Solar panels on the roofs.
One of my little kind of hobby issues that I've been following, it's not earth-shattering, but I've been doing this stuff with electric cars.
Yeah.
Which is a way to increase transportation, but by using renewable sources of energy that are created in this country. And we don't have to rely on oil from the political and war flashpoints of the world. We need to be able to kind of pull in some of these and create American jobs for Americans. This isn't rocket science.
Yeah, you can save 30%. What we budget out, all that oil, all of that energy that comes in from overseas. You know, by just keeping things local and cutting back on what we expend.
And some of the tax credits that we passed this year also are designed to encourage green jobs. We've done tax credits for some clusters, as they're called by economists. The movie tax, the movie production one is probably the most famous.
Is that going away?
No.
Oh, okay.
We made some adjustments to what we're saving because it is creating jobs. But similarly, we've done the same kind of tax credit functions for these business clusters that aren't getting quite as much publicity, but are certainly important. In high-tech stuff, including biotech, we're doing some huge stem cell stuff here in the state of Connecticut that's going to be very big in a very short time.
There's several biotech firms here in town.
And these things are here in Danbury. And in electronics, that we're providing additional tax credits because obviously
future jobs.
Future jobs, future innovation.
Right.
And to do that, the state and the state's taxpayers have to make some investments too. For high-tech jobs, we need to invest in our education system. And
I was going to ask you about.
We did a huge bill dealing with public education, K through 12th grade, senior year in high school. We're painfully aware of the achievement gap in the state of Connecticut, and you can see it right here in Danbury. Everybody's heard of the Crouch quadruplets coming out of Danbury High School.
Right.
They're all going to Yale.
Right.
Danbury High School produces Ivy League level graduates. And at the same time, we can look at test scores and we see just the huge numbers of kids in the very bottom part of that testing range. So it's not the school's fault. They're providing opportunities to go to Ivy League schools. So we need to work on other ways of decreasing that achievement gap. And I want to give a lot of credit. Jason Bartlett, my good friend and colleague from Bethel, really worked very hard on this year, and I recognize his leadership and followed. It was the right thing to do. And it's big things and it's little things, and it's not all about money. We know that the ratio of kids graduating is dependent on parental involvement. So we are including in the future parental groups in each school, in the school system.
Support for these parental groups.
Right?
Yeah.
We're now requiring. Right now, parents have to have one teachers' conference every year. We're bumping that up to 2, and we're giving you time off from work to go and do it. So you can do it during the day when the kid's in school and the kid's there, that kind of thing. It's important to begin in the homes and getting parents involved because that is such a predictor of success. The Crouch's parents were very supportive and created that atmosphere, and I think they're great kids. I've only met one of them, but they're just great kids, and I'm so very, very proud of them.
You're also getting the parents involved in the school governance councils.
Yeah. It's in many school districts, relatively small towns compared to Danbury or certainly Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven. You've got a board of education dealing with many schools. One of the other things we've learned is you need to get parents involved, not on the school board level, but on the school level.
All politics is local.
All politics
and it starts in the individual school.
Absolutely.
It doesn't start citywide.
So you need parents there talking to faculty and talking to administration.
And then they can advocate for themselves better.
Yeah. It empowers them. It's such a great thing. And what does that do in the long run? It creates jobs. It creates skilled and educated workforce. That's always been one of the really, really big attractions of Connecticut, our very highly educated workforce. As demographics change, as people like you and I get older and are thinking more of retirement than
I'm not thinking of retirement.
climbing a career ladder, we need to make sure that the investment is made to make sure those people who are going to be paying our Social Security are going to be having the good jobs to do it.
Okay. Let's see. We've got some of the things you're going to do at the reorganizing government.
Oh, well, yeah,
yeah. We got a few minutes.
Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to do your you have your website up?
I don't have a campaign website.
Oh, okay.
So you can reach me at housedems.ct.gov/Godfrey at the Capitol. That's for business. Please don't contact me there on campaign stuff. That's separate. I'm not doing a campaign website.
And what telephone number is the best to reach you?
Right in the blue pages of the phone book, it's my home phone, 203-778-5127. If I'm not there, you can leave a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, we've got, they just flashed 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
whole 3 minutes to discuss
The
whatever you want to, you know, is there a need to do some more cutting, or would you say, or do you, or you think that the economy now is bottomed out as far as the tailspin, and it's like a plane?
I think it's more than bottom out. Like the leading indicators are up, all that kind of stuff that I follow.
Yeah.
Long, slow, slogging recovery. It's not going to turn around again overnight.
It might take 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, it could take some time. There's things we need to do in the near future in state government. Now, the first thing, we need a new governor. We're going to get that, although your guess is as good as mine as to who it's going to be.
Right.
I will be very selfish. I'm a Democrat, and I would prefer a Democratic governor. We haven't had one in over a generation. Maybe that will make things better. But whoever the new governor is needs to take a look at the way state government is organized and works, because it doesn't work very efficiently and it doesn't work very well. Unfortunately, this governor just really isn't very friendly toward technology. We don't have computer systems. We don't have a centralized Department of Information Technology that I see in those other states that I visit that reduce costs and increase productivity. You can do more with less actual humans in there. Now, I'm not advocating we do any wholesale firing. That increases unemployment.
Yeah.
That doesn't increase employment. But
if it's more efficient, people
don't have to hire as many.
People don't mind so much if the government is efficient.
Yes.
What the cost is, if it's more efficient.
Delivering the benefit.
Now you go into the Department of Motor Vehicles. If you get served in 5 minutes and not 25 minutes, people are they're happy.
My birthday's coming up. I just had to get a new driver's license. It took me 10 minutes to get in and out of DMV.
Oh, good, because I'm going tomorrow.
And I didn't tell them who I was, so it was good. It was a good experience. And we have the opportunity of doing those kind of things, provided we do it from the customer's point of view. I was appalled after Katrina when FEMA couldn't get anything in the way of goods and services in New Orleans, but Walmart was, because they were ready.
Your telephone number once again?
My 203-778-5127. That's my bedroom. So please don't call in the middle of the night. John, always good to see you.
I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Sure.
I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to the Community Forum. Tune in next week, same time, same station. We'll have another interesting program. Good night for now. We'll see you then.